Oh my gosh. Sorry guys, I've tried to go live before on another link. These electrical storms clearly are not wanting us to be really active on the internet right now or on any type of electronics. I've been having some serious problems all day just trying to create notes, simple things like uploading a file and stuff like that is becoming extremely difficult at this moment. So beware of these geomagnetic storms going around and how it may affect your electronic devices and also your mental health as well. But hello to everyone coming in the live. Let me know who's in the live today. We're going to be going in and having an interesting conversation today about emotional intelligence, and I feel like it's definitely on time. A definitely on time conversation. Hi Amy, how are you doing today? I'm hoping you're well. In the time that we're currently in, hi Oshima, hi Brina. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just literally washed my hair today, trying to get it back. And as my hair's growing, I'm kind of getting a bit excited at the moment. So I'm like, okay, let me let my hair breathe for a little bit. But yeah, so energies has been very, very interesting the last few days. I'm sure you felt this very, very strong energetic shift that we've been experiencing. The earth is also reflecting these shifts, as I did bring to your awareness as well with regards to some of the shifts that's taking place within the climate, the earth, all this type of stuff. There's also a lot of changes happening within us, and I guess it's a point where we have to allow these changes to take place, because if we don't, we're going to be triggered. You're going to be triggered. It's like this is a time where everyone's just going to be wanting to poke the bear. Let me poke the bear. Let me provoke you. And everyone's provoking the government, celebrities, people, family. Everyone's just on a provoking tip at this moment. And anytime other than this time, especially in a pandemic, whilst everyone's just really stressed, we've been in lockdown for almost a year now, and there's now prospects of another year of lockdown and all this. Is just crazy. Our emotions are bound to be on high. We're bound to be anxious. And this is the thing about mental health, and especially when it comes to things like anxiety and depression. You can, and it's not only these two conditions, but I do notice these two specific conditions in particular. We Those two conditions can play out on a level to where you don't even identify that you're experiencing anxiety and depression. Anxiety can play out in very small ways as well. If you the obsession over something in itself, that's also anxiety that is fueling that, whether it's an obsession to research something or whatever. There's so many different ways that anxiety can play out, but that's not exactly what I wanted to talk about. I will kind of explore those in another angle, in another video. But what I wanted to do today is really give some practical information about learning how to live a much more emotionally fulfilling life, especially in times where everything is just designed to trigger you. All of these celebrity stuff that's taking place at the moment, it has nothing to do with us. Why do we get so riled up in other people's lives that we will probably never meet? None of their stuff has anything to do with us, but we're so invested in the things that takes place. Now, when it comes to emotional intelligence, and I will speak about it, I'll go into emotional intelligence in a second, but what I will say first is that sometimes we make life incredibly difficult for ourselves because we haven't learned how to stop giving away our power, whether it's to other people, whether it's to objects, whether it's addictions, whether it's codependency, whether it's uh, not allowing yourself to go for something that you know that you really want, but you actually block yourself from doing that. There's a lot of ways that we can make life incredibly difficult for ourselves, and a lot of it is fueled by our emotions and the unhealthy management of our emotions. So whilst we're in the North Node in Gemini, hi Luna, and hi Oshima, you're experiencing it as we speak. Oh, well, it looks like this live is on time then. Now, in the North Node in Gemini, this is a time. Gemini is the mind. It's the evolved mind. And why I say the evolved mind, it's really the mind that's able to rationalize emotional impulses. It can rationalize emotional impulses. So, or not just emotional impulses, but all of the impulses that it may experience. So anything that it may experience, it's like, okay, I need to make sense of this thing, information. And emotions is information, it's intelligence. This is why we talk about emotional intelligence, because it's separating the impulse, the catalyst, the symptom, or whatever symptom you're feeling, from the intelligence that it's actually trying to give you. So if you feel sad, if you feel emotional, especially women who are really hormonal a lot of the times, and sometimes we don't really we can't really identify what is the feeling that we're currently feeling. So rather than allowing yourself to be driven by the impulsiveness of the feeling, you're now stepping outside of this box, and you're able to say, actually, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Because the emotion itself is not the fact. It's not fact. Emotions is information. It's just an impulse. In fact, you can't how do you identify emotions? It's just a feeling. It's not something that you can put out, or you can show someone what this emotion is. You can only if you said to someone, I feel sad, the depths of your sadness, you can't fully put that into a tangible form to say to someone, this is exactly how I feel. You feel all of that. But these are just internal impulses, and so it's important to state that, because when it comes to, especially, and I'm speaking not only to women, but I speak mainly to women, because we are definitely guilty of allowing our emotions to just run wild, and allow people to feel justified to almost support the psychosis that is created within our emotions. Why I say psychosis? Because the emotions can sometimes imagine and create a whole scenario that never existed, and you class that as fact. When it comes to we are all different. We all identify with things differently, and mainly that's because of our own upbringings, our own personal experiences. We all are, depending on what type of life you've lived, you're more inclined to be aware of something of certain things more than other people. So for example, if you have I didn't come from an incredibly rich family, but I know that things was always provided. So I don't have a thing of I always need to make money. I'm like, no, I need to be stable. That is my influence coming from childhood. Someone else may identify more with the lack. They may have not had a time where they didn't have they may have had a time where they didn't have dinner, or have some really drastic memories when it comes to lack, so their drive may be different. Could still be stability, could still be, I just want to just make as much money as possible so that I can at least have a taste of something that I've always been craving for. It can play out in loads of different ways. But it's important to understand that we identify with things differently. We're not programmed to identify the exact same things, and thus we're not programmed to feel emotionally charged towards the same things too. Now, why am I saying that? Because in a time where everything is so fragmented and divisive, it's like this war taking place between society of like, people should think the same way as me, or some people should feel exactly the same way as me. You don't care about black women if you're not doing this. You don't care about black people unless you're not doing this. You don't care. And it's like, hold on, no, I'm my own person. You can't tell me what I should do, or what denotes what I care about and what I don't care about, and how much I'm passionate about this thing. This just goes beyond all of that. So there has to be some type of rationale within ourselves of how we identify what is taking place within society right now. Everyone has their own subjective experiences, their own subjective beliefs, and each one of these could be truth to them. Let me go into some of my notes, because I wanted to make sure I said something as well. So yeah, let me go back, because there's something I do want to be able to say. So when it comes to emotions, and I will be doing a shadow surgery, a 3-day shadow surgery on the winter solstice, and we will be going deeper into all of these things. But when I was looking into my own emotion, dealing with my own emotions, and looking into the intelligence of my emotions, I realized that there was a lot of times that I allowed my emotions to talk me out of so many opportunities. I created so many scenarios that never existed. I thought that people didn't like me when they never even said anything like that, but that's just my insecurities now creating all of these excuses for myself as to why I shouldn't allow myself to go in the light. Like I've really chopped myself down in so many different ways. I've let my emotions block me from understanding a different someone else's point of view, what they're actually saying as opposed to what I think they're saying. These are things that I really struggled with over my journey, and it's come really the last 2018 is where this whole thing of emotional intelligence, and especially victimhood, that was a major thing that I had to really deal with. But really learning how to manage my emotions in different ways. One of the things that I used to do is just internalize all of my emotions. So I wouldn't speak, I wouldn't express. I felt guilty for sharing how I felt with someone, because I knew how much of a burden that was, and to place that burden on someone else, I felt like it was unfair to place that level of burden on someone else. But what I was doing was actually being more toxic to myself in not allowing myself to be honest. And part of emotional intelligence is, or a big part of emotional intelligence is authenticity. Being authentic, being real with yourself. Like the biggest person you have to be real with is yourself. So you can allow your emotions to talk yourself out of even procrastination. You can procrastinate so much that you don't actually hit some of the goals that you intend to hit, and then what ends up happening is that you create even more self-inflicted problems, because now you're depressed and added depression onto the original depression that you was already experiencing, but now you have a much bigger problem. So there's so much things that takes place when it comes to the realm of emotions. And now, so when we're in the time of the North Node being in Gemini is having to look at all of its collected experiences, all of the information or the intel that it's gathered from all of its experiences. Sometimes we don't even realize some of the experiences that you've gone through, how it's had impact on your mindset. Really, like even minuscule things, even going back to being in school, someone may have said something really nasty to you, and not realizing that that's deeply embedded within your soul. Like there's something stuck, or a bug that's just attached to a part of you that now, anytime you try to move forward in that area, that wound reopens itself. But emotional intelligence helps you to now open up that wound, evaluate that wound, investigate that wound, and understand. Also, first you need to have compassion for the wound, and this is where the inner child healing really comes in, because when you look at yourself from the perspective of a child, like we're adults, right? But we have an inner child that's wounded. We all have an inner child that has little traumas, no matter how big or how small it is, there's some type of experiences that we're having to learn to grow from and transmute from. Now, when it comes to our perspective of ourselves when we become an adult, we no longer see ourselves as a child, which, you need to have that type of wisdom or developed mindset. You're now an adult, you're no longer a child. However, when it comes to the emotions is coming from the realm of the child. So you cannot look at the emotions as, you're an adult, grow up, you shouldn't be feeling like this, why are you crying, you look weak. And especially if you've grown up in very harsh upbringings like myself, where you wasn't able to honor your emotions, you're actually doing the exact same thing that your parents did to you. So you're now reenacting the same traumas, the same things that didn't allow you to grow healthily, and you're now having to move beyond that. I'm going to go back through the comments in a second. I just want to get through this in a sec. But if you guys have any questions whilst I'm going through, you can put them back, and at the end of this, I will go back through. Now we're going to talk about facts. Because I've been hearing a lot of people talking about, and before I go forward, you guys, if you can put a like on the video, make sure you share this video as well whilst we're live, so someone else can get access to this information as well. So we're going to talk about facts, and I've been hearing this words come up a lot. This is the facts. The facts is this. Like, that would be okay, but the facts are. And what we don't realize is that even with this thing called facts, we can have a very subjective perspective to what we class as facts. There's facts, and then there's truth. Depending on the lens that you're using to evaluate the information is going to determine what angle you're going to be able to come at that at. Now, facts versus what you choose to see as facts, because we can see there's facts, and then there's our eyes wanting to home in on this particular area because it satisfies this particular part of ourselves. And that's what we don't allow ourselves to be aware of, because when we're having these conversations and these dialogues and these debates about whatever it is that we're having a conversation about, there's so many different debates going on with this North Node in Gemini, health, spirituality, so many different debates and conversations. Everyone's got something to say, but understand that everyone is picking, or everyone else has a different angle. Just like, for example, people within the self-help spiritual community, wherever, no one's gonna have exactly the same interpretation. For example, an astrologer, right? Let's pick an astrologer, for example. Me as an astrologer and someone else as an astrologer, we are gonna have different lenses or different perspectives of how we identify a particular archetype. Why? Because we have personally individual experiences with each individual archetype. So if someone else is saying this is how they identify this energy, I can't exactly shut them down and say no. I could probably say, well, have you looked at this part of the energy? Because this energy is expensive. Who the fuck gave us the graduation cap to be like, the honors cap to be like, well, I'm the know-all on everything. Like, no, like, life is so much more expensive. So there's facts and there's truth. And a lot of the time when we look at facts, we look at it through the lens of our inner child. Now, depending on if you've done inner child work, inner child healing, this will determine how much of a healthy perspective you're having on your particular reality. Now, the world of emotion is water. It's interchangeable. There's no form, and it's the deep space of all possibilities, yet attached to memory and patterns. So what do I mean by that? The emotions is the realm of the deep space of all possibilities. There's it's what's that flubber? If anyone remembers flubber? Flubber has no form. It just does what it does. That in essence is water. So our emotions, for you to now say, right, this is the emotion I'm feeling and this is fact, it's hard to determine that because it's going to change again and it's going to change into something else, and maybe how you perceive that that particular emotion is going to be different in itself. So it's so interchangeable. So for you to now say, even now give you another example, you have a conversation with someone and you say that you made me feel this way. You made me feel this way. Now, yes, there's a certain angle to where you're now activating your throat chakra, and you can now say, do you know what? This is how I felt about this situation. I didn't feel good, and I honor myself enough to be able to let you know. Then there's certain times where, for example, I saw an article, and I can't remember where they're actually doing it. It may actually be in the UK. If they do, they're actually fucking dickheads. But I saw an article that said they are going to be making, or they're having talks of making misogyny a hate crime. And I looked at that article and I said, what the fuck has happened to this world? Because there's no way that you can identify something like misogyny as a hate crime. Yes, it's fucked up behavior. Yes, it's a fucked up mindset. But then to say it's a crime, that's, for me, it's just the fueling of victimhood and not being able to claim your power. If someone has had a negative response to you, the power is not, because this is how this is sometimes, especially with women, you want them to be able to acknowledge, this is how you hurt me, Some people may be able to do that, some people may not. But is your healing dependent on whether or not that person acknowledges your emotions, exactly how you've experienced it? Probably wouldn't happen that way. Sometimes it can, but it's all so many different levels to that. So when it comes to emotions, it's to then say someone else should be responsible for how you feel. Here's where the problem lies, because how you feel should never be dependent on someone else external from yourself. If you want to be able to feel happy, you have the ability to create happiness like that, right? It may not feel as amazing at the beginning. You may feel really grumpy, like whatever, but Go put on some music. Go and do something that excites you. Go do something that you know that fills your own cup. I promise you, you'll be able to create that same feeling in yourself. And the reason why I say this is because I can say this through personal experience. The last few months has been a very intensive few months for me, emotionally. And even through that, especially because I know, especially I'm a Scorpio moon, so my emotions can literally feel like I'm dying sometimes. And I've noticed going through, I had like a mini dark night of the soul. Going through this time, it was almost like I was so grateful because I know how easy it is for myself to get pulled down in my emotional spirals. I identify something that's negative and then I start going down and down and down and down and down. And before you know it, I'm deep in depression and don't know how to get out. So there's a lot. So when it comes to, I've had to learn to take control and not allow myself to be swayed by these emotions, because I have the power to use these emotions to my benefit. So some of the pain that I was feeling, I went through I lost twins. So that's real life pain that I had to go through. But in that pain, and this is actually why I ended up creating this wounded healer oil. I was wounded and needed to heal myself. And I needed to feel all of the polarities, the depths of everything that I didn't want to face about my experience. I actually said to myself, I didn't want to allow myself to be delusional to my reality, because it was so easy to just shut off and be like, right, this isn't happening. This doesn't exist. Right? Like, this never happened. But it did. And I had to be able to become very honest with myself in addressing that reality. Now, when it comes to all of these different experiences and all of these different possibilities that your emotions can present to you, and also why it's important to pay attention to your emotions, because these emotions that you don't address, they end up becoming repeated experiences. You end up repeating the same thing over and over again, feeling the same pain over and again. You're like, when is this gonna stop? When you stop, that's when it stops. When you stop the bullshit, that's when it stops, right? You stop holding your hands over your eyes, blinding yourself, that's when it stops. So the key is to discern what experience, what possibility is relevant to assist your path of growth, as opposed to circular destructive patterns. So we can literally allow ourselves to go around in the same circle, or we can allow ourselves to spiral up and out into new experiences, new connections, new neural pathways. Your whole mindset of things is just completely just new. And I literally feel like every 2 years I go through a whole neural pathway shift where my whole mindset, how I see the world, everything just completely changes. And now I've just got to the point where I'm just like, okay, I allow it to happen. Everything's going to crash and burn, but I know everything's going to be powerful at the end. It may not make sense now, but it will make sense at the end. Now, let me go, where am I? So the realm of intellect comes in where the mind has the ability to reach correct conclusions about what is true and what is false and what could be dual. Now, there's a 6 to every 9, and I've given an example of a 6 and a 9 in here that I'll break down. But when it comes to truth and what's true and what's false, we always kind of black and white blanket these two realms of truth and false. Like, it's either true, if it's not true, it's false. But again, it's like it also links into the perspective of how you identify that truth. So what do I mean by that? When it comes to let me give an example. So religion, for example. Religion is a perfect way to say this, because everyone has an identification of what they of what this God is, or higher self, most high, creator, intelligence, whatever it is they want to be able to call it. Everyone feels that. You know what that is, right? We all get the chills when you feel it and stuff. But then you have different religions that identify it differently, right? This essence is being expressed or explained in different ways, in different cultural forms, etc., etc., etc. So when it comes to saying this religion is the truth, or this spiritual thing is the truth, this is, they've all got parts of it. They've all got parts of things that you can identify as truth, and some things that you can also identify as false. But then to basically put it in as and this is also a personal thing as well. It's not something that everyone can blanket and be like, that is true and that is false. How does that person personally relate to, because when it comes to spirituality, we weren't all supposed to identify things the exact same way. Some people identify to more of the dark side of themselves. Some people identify more with the light side of themselves. To then say the dark is false and wrong for whatever they identify with, is that's not fair, because there's duality. There's this whole universe is created on duality. It's created on polarities. It's created on pendulums. It's created on all this magnetism that is created by opposition, right? So our perspective to it is sometimes can harm the whole big picture, which is our South Node in Sagittarius. I'm hoping I'm making sense. If I'm not, definitely comment below, and hopefully I can make a bit more sense with it. So now going into the illusion of separation. So I keep mentioning about the illusion of separation, and how sometimes this illusion, separating the two, separating everything, even disassociating yourself from certain things. And guys, those of you who are in the Realms Academy, we're talking about Wetiko, even a disassociation from your shadow and all the evil that's around you. This can create an internalized self-inflicted psychosis in itself, because there's always an opposite. There's always a 6 to every 9. But just because you don't identify with something doesn't mean it's not there, and doesn't mean to say that it won't have some type of impact, doesn't mean to say that it won't have some type of influence. It's just that you don't want to identify that it's there. Now, the 6 to 9, this is an opposing perspectives. This is also was it called a paradigm shifts. If you guys have seen the picture, see if I can get it up. There's a picture when dealing with paradigms, and it shows the duck and the rabbit, and it's literally 2 pictures in one. Two pictures in one. But if you look at it, paradigm picture, what does it come up as? If you look at it in one, oh, here we go. Let me see if I can take this down. Actually, let me not, because it's going to be harder to put back up. But if you guys type in paradigm shift on Google, you'll see a picture of, see if I can actually put it up. A duck, or it looked like a rabbit and a duck together. And so this way you see the duck, the other way it looks like an actually rabbit, and the rabbit ears are there. So this is exactly what a paradigm shift is. That's exactly how our universe operates. Our universe operates on duality. Just because you may focus in on one side for 1 minute and see one thing, and then focus in on the other thing, and then you'll see something else. But this is about allowing yourself to actually flexibly go through or like practically shifting your focus to where you can actually see these different things. If you're only focused on one particular thing, um and again, depending on what your impulse is to that particular thing, it works differently. um but you have to allow yourself to be flexible with how you allow yourself to see and view your reality, viewing other people's perspectives, viewing all of these different things. I want to kind of get quickly through this because I still have a lot more I want to say, and I know I keep rambling. So let me go forward. Right, so now I want to go into the example that I created. So a practical example of this 6 and 9 kind of opposing perspective reality thing. We're going to use a child and a mother. So we look at the child. The child would be the child, or a child could say, "My mum took away my toy because she hated me." That's what the child would say. The child can only identify, "You've taken away my ability to feel this particular impulse, and now I'm upset, and now I can only identify hate in this situation. I can't identify the anything else apart from this hate." So that would be an example of a 6. So a child locked in their emotion cannot see anything other than the hate when opposing the perspective of what they think what they think needs. Sorry, I don't even see my writing. What they think needs to present themselves. I'll check that over after in a minute. So what would be a 9? The mother took away the toy because her intellect was able to identify something the child couldn't identify with, because they hadn't yet developed their intellectual abilities to see that the world was not run off emotions but intellect. Now, why do I say that? So the mother's taken a toy. It wasn't that the mother hated the child. The mother saw something else. The mother saw, actually, you're spending a bit too much time on this device. And I can use this personal example because I personally do not allow my child to spend a lot of time on electronic devices. My mum gave him this tablet, and so he's been using it a lot more recently, and he will get so angry when I take it away. And that was like, right, from when he had his first sort of temper tantrum, it was like, right, you are not going to have this a lot of the time, but it's only so that I can prevent him from creating this addictive personality trait to this electronic device. Now, me as a mother with intelligence, that's my approach. Him as a child who hasn't even had his frontal lobe developed yet, he cannot identify that, and you can't expect him to develop to identify his reality like that because he has not yet been developed. Now, using this example, this is two sides, and where the mother may be able to see the frustration of the child can't see the other side. Now, this is clashes going on. This also plays out with us. Why I use this the example of a child is because some of us are still trapped in our inner child. This is how we still identify our experiences. It takes, so the moment someone takes away something that fuels something in us, or creates some type of satisfaction or whatever it is, you can have drastic reactions to that. Sorry, 1 second. So we have to learn to see multiple perspectives to a picture, because we can't see, or unless you ask someone to explain themselves, or ask someone, why did you do that? Why did you take that toy away from me? Why did you say that? Why did you do this or whatever? That person then has the opportunity to respond, but it's your job to actually listen to what they say, not what you think they're saying, because sometimes we can create a whole new narrative of something on top of what that person is not saying, and create a whole nother confusion, and then expect them to be responsible for your feelings of creating something that they've never created. And this is how damaging it can be. So this is why we have to do deep inner child healing, because a lot of us are still trapped in our inner child. We're trapped in the impulsive state, the reactive state. We're trapped in we're trapped in our shadow. Now, what is the shadow? The shadow is the part of self that has been that was developed at the time of trauma. So when the trauma first came, you've created another a string of yourself, another detachment of yourself, this split personality that then clicks in whenever you feel or identify that trauma is going to be activated again. And then you get into defense mode, protective mode, whatever whatever that is. But it's important that you can actually just take yourself out of yourself and actually imagine like you're looking down on yourself from the clouds, and you can actually view yourself from an objective perspective and be like, okay, what the fuck am I doing here? Is this okay? Like, am I seeing all areas? Like, actually begin to speak to yourself. Do not allow yourself to just be ruled by all of this stuff that isn't actually tangible. So this is all of this of what I've been talking about with regards to reframing your perspective and beginning to flip your perspective of the inner child, and beginning to bring these ideas into a more healthy form. This is called reparenting yourself. This is an inner child technique that is used to begin to take yourself into the spiraling out of the constant cycle of repeated experiences, you know. And the thing is, until you start to face what got yourself in the cycle to begin with, whether it's karmic, whether it's in this lifetime or whatever, because we have to learn to take accountability for cycles. We didn't just get in a cycle for no reason. You may not be able to identify why the cycle is taking place, but it doesn't mean to say that you haven't had any hand in the creation of this cycle. So you have to have even more invested interest in the breaking out of this cycle and getting into some type of evolution, some type of growth, being able to grow outside of this box that you've allowed yourself to stay in. So you have to begin to learn to stand on your own square. And this is why on the winter solstice between the 21st and the 23rd of December, we're doing a whole 3-day shadow surgery workshop. We're spending the whole of day one on the emotions and understanding the intelligence behind emotions, allowing ourselves to actually just, because sometimes, you know what, a lot of the times when I do these workshops with my clients, they've never allowed themselves to actually go that deep. It's really shocking sometimes when you actually kind of reveal all the layers and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had all of this here. It's kind of crazy. But we are not doing this for the purpose of making ourselves raw and exposing ourselves to all of our pain for the purpose of just staying in pain. We're actually doing this for the purpose of learning how to reclaim our power. To learn how to reclaim your power, you need to understand what took away your power or how you gave away your power to begin with. So we're going through a whole 3-day reconstructive program to where we can unravel and rebuild ourselves within that time at the same time. And it's going to be so powerful. I mean, I'm excited. I'm actually going through a 3-day shadow surgery myself this month with myself before I go into this, because there's so much I want to be able to just shed and prepare for 2021. Like, this energy it would be silly to just waste this energy, this purging energy in itself, even with all of these volcanoes coming up. These volcanoes, even sulfur comes from a volcano. Sulfur is a very cleansing component. Yes, it can be quite toxic and dangerous, but its purpose is to cleanse, is to purge. So let's use this energy that is being circulated on this earth. We don't need to be fearful about what we're experiencing, but we can allow ourselves to just align ourselves with this shift and actually align ourselves, like really deal with your emotions in this time, especially going into Scorpio season. This is going to intensify. This is Libra season, so this is where we're equalizing some stuff. We're in the equinox. We're having to equalize some stuff, balance out some stuff, harmonize some stuff, but we have to be real with ourselves at the same time. So I'm hoping that this live gave a bit more understanding, and I will be doing some more stuff on this as well, leading into the shadow retreat. But let me go back through some of your comments. Anastasia, greetings from Harlem. Hi Anastasia. Every time I tune into you, my heart always smiles. Keep it up. Keep it up. Praises to what a butterfly looks like after transforming. Oh, bless you, my lovely. In fact, my middle name is actually Vanessa, which means butterfly. So I'm really like, butterflies are just so, and alchemy, transformation, it's just really strong with me. Thank you, I know what you mean. Been trying to get an astrological reading from you, but it seems to be challenging to set up. Where can I go to achieve this? Yeah, some people have been having some problems with my website. I'm not sure what's actually going on because some people can still book. But if you send me an email, I can send you an invoice directly off the website, and I can just book it directly through that. So if any of you guys ever have a problem with booking on my website or anything, just send me an email to trueselfprojectinfo@gmail.com. I'm getting tired. And I can sort that out for you. This is spot on. Had to face this week. Face this with a friend of mine and super honest about my deep distrust. Yep, you have to be honest. And this is a part of honoring yourself, because sometimes you can hold on to, like, I have a friend that literally I will never know when she's upset with me, because well, I won't know until she bursts out, like until she gets mad, just like and I'm like, okay, but I didn't even know you was upset. We have to learn to actually verbalize our feelings, because a lot of the times people don't actually know how you feel. You have to actually verbalize it. And this is another toxic thing that I used to do, it took my partner really, me kind of using my mirror of my partner to really deal with that in myself and be like, listen, he's not a mind reader. Like, and I have to say it to him. This is what I mean. We mirror ourselves. I have to say to him, I'm not a mind reader. You need to tell me how you feel. So this is something we all need to honor within ourselves. It's almost October. I'm telling you, listen, it's crazy. This year has just gone by. Mars, they just took over the original names that you can even read in the Dogon annuals. The planets are rebirthing as well. Oh yes, they are. Definitely. You represent that. Even through the pain, you can still be beautiful. Oh, thank you, my love. That's such a beautiful thing for you to say. I try with the King of Cups as a career, be someone who uses emotional intelligence like an artist theme. Yes, that would, because they would literally just it's divine inspiration. It's like you can channel. It's just like a authentic channel of just divine inspiration, creativity, singing, like spontaneous singing, spontaneous art, spontaneous dance, just very free, not boxed, not contained. It just allows itself to do what it does when it needs to do it. Yeah. I hope that answers your question for you. But yeah, I'm gonna get off because I know I've got my friends coming here in a short while, and I only wanted to come on shortly just so that I could put this information up first. But yeah, if you guys, I will be doing more lives on my Instagram. in the week, like little random uploads, whatever, transits, random talks, readings and stuff. I'll be doing a lot of this on my Instagram, so you can follow me on @soul of Nams, and that's NAMZ, on Instagram, and I'll be doing more content over there on my live streams and stuff. I'm just trying to diversify a lot of my content. As well, we've got the Inner Realms Academy, so you can go into, in fact, if you go over to my website, www.trueselfproject.co.uk, I've added some little new stuff on there. I've also added a new ebook on there, which is a little energy tracker, similar vibes to the Face It, but it's using elements to basically do like energy scans for the month. I will be doing another video about that. There's so many videos that I need to be doing. It's absolutely crazy. Do you know what it is? I actually need someone to do editing for me, because I just find it easier to just go online, record, do what I need to do, and then that's it. But it's getting ridiculous. I'm gonna have to up my my productivity of that at some point. But I'm actually in the process of still trying to create a lot of resources, practical resources that you guys can take as well. So yeah, I'm getting tired and I need to go and eat some food, so I'm gonna jet off. But guys, you can let me know what if there's any questions that you had on this live, anything you want me to be able to address, I will. Any questions about the shadow surgery, payment plans, all that kind of stuff, you can hit me an email as well, trueselfprojectinfo@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I will see you guys on the other side.